Meeting to order. Uh, Please, these people over here, if they can come down a little bit. All right. So we have one ordinance, is bill number BL 2016-342 by Primor, Allen, and others. It was referred to us for review and recommendation. It amends the Metro Code to create an affordable and workforce housing grant program. Do we have a motion? Oh, here, no. Can you push your button, please? It's not coming up. Okay, I need Rosie again. This thing is not. Yeah. Not letting me. Can anybody call Rosie? I always get the same problem with this screen. No, it's not. It's locked out the screen. Does anybody here know IT? There is a priority button. No? Know what the priority button is? Doing the same thing, like if I click here, this message comes up. I mean, I work, it's just I cannot.
Are you working?
You guys want me to sing in the meantime? I mean, I know some tango that I can, no? Yeah, Rosie, sit down.
That's okay.
Thank you, Chair Lady Rosie, and Chairman Bedney. This, I have an amendment that basically, the 2 points are, one, that the sunset requirement is extended from 2 to 3 years, and the other one, basically, it doesn't remove the UZO, it removes the UZO requirements and makes existing developments eligible to opt in if they are located within a non-affordable area. Those
Okay.
are the 2 key points in amendments.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. We have, I think Councilman Glover was, do you want to speak about the amendment? Yes. Okay, go ahead.
I want to kind of reiterate, I think something that we talked about in Budget and Finance that I think is critical. I think Councilman Cooper asked some very legitimate questions. If I understand this correctly, this doesn't even go into effect until 17-18 fiscal year. So I think we're rushing, while the discussion has been that we've had a lot of time spent on this, a lot of different work groups have been involved with this. I think going back and deferring this to have a little more work done, because I don't think we have real clarity on what the exact rule as far as amending this on third would be. I think it's kind of questionable, or maybe we could suspend the rules. Maybe, you know. So I just feel like there's certain pieces in this puzzle that Councilman Cooper brought up. Frankly, asked some great questions that I think there's still some gray area that I think we as a council need to hear the answers on before we go forward with this. And you know, with that, I'll just lay out one of the concerns that I see in this, and may be correct, may not be correct. So let's take somebody who's got a kind of a rundown apartment building.
May I interrupt you?
Uh-huh.
Are you, because we are voting on accepting the amendment.
Right, but that's what I'm talking about, because we got the amendment this afternoon at 3:12, so it's really hard to, and some things were changed that were pretty drastic in this. So let's take somebody under this amendment now. If somebody has an existing apartment building and it's dilapidated and they decide they want to renovate it, this might be a way that they can actually finance that renovation by, for 1 year, opening it up for affordable housing. They're getting the full $2 million, because I think we're capping at $2 million in here if I read the amendment correctly. And then all of a sudden they then decide, well, they don't want to do this. They don't want to do the subsidizing anymore. And so now they've used taxpayer money to basically renovate their building. And I realize that may be far-fetched, but the way this is read is that way.
If I may, Councilman, I think what you want to do, if I may, is we should vote on the amendment, and then you can discuss the amended legislation and discuss what you're bringing up. I think we first need to vote on the amendment to see if we accept replacing the current legislation with the amendment, and then we can do this thing here. If you don't mind, I think that will be the proper way to go about it.
Yeah. Okay, so we pass it to see what it says. Okay, all right.
Thank you, sir. So, who's in favor of the amendment? I need to record the vote because the chamber asked me to record it. Oh, okay, sorry. Councilmember Sledge.
I apologize, Chairman. This is on the amendment. I'd just like a brief explanation of the amendment, if that's okay, and that could come from the mayor's office, whoever's proposing.
I think that's appropriate.
So, thank you, Chair. The two changes is basically saying that for existing property, it's countywide. Before it was just for the urban zoning overlay. So we've opened that up countywide for existing developments to opt in. The new construction is in the UZO and multimodal corridors. So that's the change in the geographic piece. The other change is the sunset provision from 2 years to 3 years to be consistent with Bill 133.
If I might, those were two requests that actually came out of the ad hoc, the last two ad hoc work sessions. So they came from this committee's discussions of our bill.
So it is our fault. Any more questions about the amendment? Okay, I need to know, if you're in favor on passing the amendment, please raise your hand. Okay. Sorry to make you do that. Okay, anybody against the amendment? Against the amendment? Okay. All right, so the amendment passes. So let's start a conversation about the legislation, if you all don't mind. Do I have anybody interested in Council Lady Allen?
Thank you. If I could get Adrian to, this is kind of going back to the amendment. My understanding is that even in all the areas, there's still the 20% of your property tax limitation, and that would still be subject to a percent set aside. They couldn't decide they were going to open up the whole building. It would just be the 7 to 17%. Is that
That's
correct?
right. So for existing, it's up to 20% of the tax value, and then on the new construction, it's up to 50%.
Yeah, and then as well, the number of units would be 17, anywhere from 7 to 17% of the square footage
That's right.
would be set aside. So not, they couldn't set the entire building
With,
aside.
with 133, there would be a percentage.
Okay.
Yes.
So without 133, is there a percentage, or could they, is there?
Up to the 20% or the 50%.
That's the cap. Okay, thank you.
Any other question? Oh, Mr. Councilman Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Adrian, while everybody's here, this is such a valuable opportunity. In scoring the mayor's incentive bill, say there was an approach to scoring to evaluating where the 2 million, trying to get the 2 million to the greatest need, what would the administration's reaction be to giving a preference to nonprofits?
I think those are things that we could work out in the policies and procedures for, and we could certainly have some different scoring criteria as a part of our policies and procedures.
Okay. Would you all, would you be able to suggest other criteria that you will be looking at?
Yes, we can.
Well, I mean, actually asking you
Oh.
right now,
Oh, you're
what other
asking me
criteria
what
are
those
you,
could-
are you thinking, in doing the job ahead, are, that you are thinking through and how you would score it?
We currently have some scoring criteria already with the Barnes Fund for Affordable Housing, and so those things could also translate into this. We could look into how their property management is going to actually review how they're going to do income eligibility. Those are things that we can certainly put into place with our policies and procedures, and actually have a scoring criteria associated with it.
Thank you. Council Lady Allen.
I think that was left over from earlier.
This is your chance to say something meaningful.
Okay. I would just say again that I think it's time to go ahead and move forward with this. And I don't know that we're not totally necessarily through, but I do feel like to keep this on track and to get this in place so that we can begin to sign people up, we need to keep going. So I would just say I feel like an awful lot of work has gone into this, a lot of conversation, a lot of input from the building community. They are still coming forth with ideas, and we welcome those. If they come up with something that they think is wonderful, then there's time to incorporate that, and we're willing to do that. And there is a process in place that's spelled out in our rules that says how to do that. So I just appreciate all the work that Adrian and Eric have done to come up with the funding part that will make Bill 133 also work. And I think this has great potential to get things happening very quickly, and we need the workforce housing to happen soon. So I support it.
Thank you, Council Lady. Any other questions or comments? All right, so I'm going to again ask you, I apologize, to raise your hand and vote for or against. First for. Keep your hands up. Huh? Oh, I'm just marking it here. Thank you, Council Lady. So it's Gilmore, Anthony Davis, Sledge, Allen, and me. Okay. And if you're voting against it, please raise your hand. Glover. Glover, you don't seem to be on the committee. You're not listed here. Huh? No, Glover. I'm looking here. They forgot to put your name, I guess. Okay. I'll check that later. Okay, so, all right, so the motion passes. Thank you very much. And you seem to have a big crowd there. Who's chairing the next meeting? All right, well, meeting adjourned.